There are two new names at the top of the Kumho series this season. One of them is Matt Charter. The youngster's made an impressive debut in the opening 2 rounds of the series in his AU Falcon. Meanwhile, Formula 4 champion Ryan Simpson joins the series this weekend and is notable for becoming the first driver to run an X888 race engineering chassis in the series.
My car's Craig Lowndes' car from 2008, built and run by 888, and then got picked up by Sonic, where Tim Blanchard and James Moffat drove the car. So it's had some good drivers and good history. It's sort of only just come up this year. We're starting to see guys start here and then jump into development series and go quite well. It just means that this series is a bit of a proving ground. It's a growing series and it's becoming more competitive, so it's become appealing to us.
Just started this season. It was a good opportunity. We got offered the car for the year and couldn't really refuse a deal like that. As far as I've seen, it's one of the most photographed supercars ever. Rodney Forbes' old built car. Pretty cool to be driving. A lot of people have said it's really cool to see someone so young being in a car with so much history. I'm aiming to kind of stick it to some of the guys in newer cars, show that even in an old car like this, we can run right up with them, and hopefully that'll lead to something next year.
I've done one test day in the car, and so far in practice we've been fastest, and qualifying we're also fastest, put in a good lap, so it's all going well so far. Let's just hope we can keep it up. I think they should watch out. We've got a good car and feel more comfortable driving it now, so I think we can go all right.
Tony Evangelou, who starts from pole in race 3, comes that little bit closer to scoring his first Kumho Series round win in quite some time. Aaron Noonan, he starts from pole in this one as the cars roll around on a formation lap for race 3.
Let's have a look at the grid. As we mentioned, it's Evangelou and Hansen on row 1, Assaylet and Simpson next from Davies and Waihoon, Morgan Haber 7th with Jim Policina, and Sam Walter and Dan Day round out the top 10. 21 car field set for this final race. On board there with Dan Day. Lights go out. We get racing. Great start from Jim Policina, straight through the middle of Terry Waihoon, down the outside on Assaylet, now down the inside on Simpson. He's the rocket man of the Kumho series, but he's a little out of control there, and he's elbowed Simpson off the road, who picks it all back up. It's wild in the middle of the pack, but all 21 are through.
Almost 4 wide past the Winton sign and down into turn 3. Policina's made a knack of good starts this year. He's become quite famous for it. Lots of YouTube hits for a start at Sydney Motorsport Park earlier this year. He's doing the same thing, hip and shoulder. He's getting forced back. Waihoon gets into the side of the ex-Tasman Commodore into turn 5. The former series champ is getting racy early on.
Now remember, Rich, on that movie The Castle, remember Dennis Denuto? It's the vibe, it's Marbo, it's the Constitution. What was the vibe of that move? Was 1 or 10, which was too hard, which was too tough? That was pretty decent contact.
I reckon that's a 7. Right through there, that's a 7. Good hit at a fast part of the racetrack. So down through the S's at the back of Winton, under the gum tree, and down on that short shoot to turn 10, then 11 and 12. Perhaps the best passing opportunities here. There's Pilvin back on the racetrack. Hansen in front of Simpson. So Ryan Simpson had a good start, but lost a little bit of ground by running off at turn 1 and 2, and he got hip and shouldered a little bit wide there by a very racy, it must be said, Jim Policina on the opening lap.
Back on board with Ryan Simpson, looking back at Nathan Assaylet in that number 72 Falcon, then Shay Davies. But again, as we saw in race 2, Tony Evangelou early on moving away. He's got a margin on Matt Hansen, who is under pressure from Ryan Simpson, who's looking pretty pacey. Turn 1, the move is on. He's in the gap. He's got it. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's up on the curb. Hansen gave him room. They did well there. It's the switchback that's on now, up to the old turn 1, which is now turn 3. This is where he'll get it done. Simpson is through to second, and he's got pace here. He should be able to hunt down the leader, Tony Evangelou.
For those uninitiated with the Kumho series, you'll note on the windshield of these cars an H or an S. That's the class differentiation between them. Some running a sequential gearbox, some running the old H pattern gearbox. Some have elected to stay with the H pattern, but some running the newer style sequential shift.
And it doesn't really seem to be making too much of a difference, Rich. Evangelou leading. He's still with the H pattern. Shay Davies, who's leading the series, running the H pattern. A couple of guys running sequentials, newly introduced for 2013 in the Kumho series, as indeed is the BF model Falcon. Remember that they run on a Kumho tyre, 500 less revs than in V8 supercars, so 7,000 RPM. But apart from that, they're the cars that you've seen and loved for the last 10 or 15 years.
And more starting to run that heritage-style livery, harking back to the way they once raced, like Matt Hansen's car, which was one of the leading sort of trailblazers in that respect. He ran that livery from day dot the moment he got into the Commodore.
And that car is the one that Mark Skate put on pole at Bathurst in 2006. It's also the car that went about not even half a lap in that year's great race at Mount Panorama. But good fight here. Nathan Assailant's having his best run in the category so far this weekend.
Yeah, no, this is a look inside the footwell of Nathan's Falcon, and he's unique amongst drivers in this field. Very few left foot brake. You can see him modulating the brake pedal in the Falcon. He's going really well. Great driving style. This is a great fight too. Great
variety in the Kumho series this year, and we'd also be looking for 3 different round winners from the 3 rounds that we've seen so far. Justin Geary won the first round at Sydney Motorsport Park. Terry Waihoon won round 2 at Mallala, and Evangelou's looking okay for round 3. So amazingly out of it all, Shay Davies, who leads the points, won't have won a round by the end of round 3, which is quite amazing.
But his pace keeps him ticking over the race win tally, so that's what's keeping him at the front. We're on board the Davbridge Constructions Fernandez Motorsport Falcon, and Shay working the back of Matt Hansen. These are 2 feisty, aggressive drivers. They don't mind getting stuck into each other. They probably do mind, but they seem to do it on regular occurrence, and they get banging panels, and we like that about touring car racing. And the Kumho V8s, it's feisty this year. It really is on. Hansen holding his own. Assailant at the back of this queue as well. Just keeping a watching brief on these 2.
And the car that Shay Davies is in is an ex-Ford Performance racing car. Jason Bright drove it in cat colours back in 2005. Jim Pollicina has been off the road. He's having a tough weekend for that crew. Have a look at the fight though, back in the pack here. Paul Panisi coming back to the series. He had engine problems at round 1 in Sydney, so we missed him at Mallala. Josh King rounds him up around the outside. We're also missing Chris Spurden this weekend from the THR team. Business commitments have meant he was a late withdrawal from this weekend, so that takes out another of the regular front runners. But the boys from THR and Josh Keane and Ian Yang are having a great fight here with the former saloon car racer Paul Panisi in that ex-Smith's Trucks Paul Morris Motorsport car, which once upon a time ran all sorts of different liveries, but that's the car that was lovingly known as Bam Bam.
Chris Smurden, you mentioned the most experienced driver in the Kumho series, the most starts of any driver. Matt Hansen in his 18th round start this weekend, the second most experienced in the field, and this guy's in 3rd, so there's plenty of experience at the pointy end. Waihoon has struggled though this weekend, and you mentioned in race 2, Noons, that it's probably not his favourite track on the calendar, but he'll know better than anybody. Just got to keep scoring points, keep yourself in that championship fight, and at the end of the season you might find yourself in a better position than perhaps your pace dictates.
Definitely, and Sam Walter's putting plenty of pressure on here. They've had a bit of an intermittent engine misfire problem with this car. It was recently purchased by Jim Pollicina, brought back from Perth, and Walter is having the big lunge down the inside. The over and under is on because Waihoon is back in the gap. Walter gives him some room, and they'll drag race it down the pitch straight towards turn 1. But Sam Walter's back after a couple of years away. He's been in this series before. He did a one-off round at Eastern Creek in 2010 and won a race, but there's big gaps in the V8 Supercar Development Series as Morgan Haber jumps up the inside. So Sam was just pretty keen to get his eye in and do as much racing as he can in between the long rounds and the gaps in the DVS. Now he's gone, turn 3, gone.
And Haber drives through, just avoids making contact with the 77 car. Well, he just got the thing pulled up into turn 11, didn't he, when he got down the inside there of Terry Waihoon. This is the fight for 3rd and 4th place, and Hansen, he's under pressure and he's gone round.
I reckon there was just the slightest of touches, but that wasn't slight. Haber, nowhere to go, plows into Matt Hansen, and I reckon those 2 cars are done for the race, and that takes Hansen out of what would have been a podium position.
Yeah, and plenty of championship points as well. He gets it fired up, but there's fluid over the road. I'd say that's punctured the radiator in the front of the number 5 car, so Hansen may well need to go to pit lane and get that checked out. He will be fuming about that. Davies was aggressive right up behind it. It looked like the lightest of little contacts, if any. And but it sent the number 5 car round either way. And Matt Hansen's the one with plenty of damage on the front end.
It's a race between the walking wounded, isn't it? Because the rest are trying to get their way through. Ambrosio goes through, Matt Palmer goes through, and both of these drivers, they're done for race 3. Let's have another look. On board with Davies, he's in. There's a small bump. There's not much in it, but there is contact, and around goes the Western Australian. Oh, Davies unhappy. Oh, gee, even from that angle, it looks so light. But at that point of the track, the car's unloaded, it's braking, the weight's forward, and that is day done for Matt Hansen. That's a real shame because he has put together a very good weekend, but he is out. So Ryan Simpson out of the final turn here at Winton. This will be one heck of a way to make his debut. No one is in sight. Look at the pace that he's got. He is like, his fastest lap's a second faster than anybody else. This is one of the biggest margins that we've seen in a long time. He's on his last lap, 3 kilometres left to go at Winton Motor Raceway, and doing the numbers, this will get him onto the podium for the weekend as well.
Yeah, and Davies third, the only driver to get within a second of the fastest lap of the Parramatta Smash Repairs. Number 2 car run by Mick Critter's Sonic Motor Racing outfit. They've won in just about everything. Development series in V8 Supercars, Porsche Carrera Cup, their Australian Formula Ford, multiple champions. And this is their first foray into the Kumho series. And spoke to Mick Ritter on Friday, and he was looking forward to the challenge. Early days for Simpson. Only one test day, as you mentioned before this round, but really looking forward to his ongoing career in these cars. He's been running production cars recently as well. He's kept himself sharp, and it's shown this weekend because he's been on it since the opening lap.
Remember, he was 11th in race 1 after some clutch problems. He came charging through to finish 2nd in race 2. For this one, though, he started 4th on the grid. He passed them all. He's driven away. He's got 2 corners left to go. But behind him on the road, this will be the bigger win for Tony Evangelou, but taking nothing away from Ryan Simpson. He has done a great job, and he will take some points away in the next couple of rounds before we get to the end of 2013.
And that might change the way this championship plays out at the front as well. But right now it's all about race wins. In just his 3rd Kumho Series race started to victory for Ryan Simpson. Evangelou will be 2nd. He'll win the round, but what's most telling is he has led every race this weekend. He is always at the front, this guy, and he just gets home in front of Shay Davies, who got to within a second at the checkered flag. Great stuff, Tony Evangelou. Davies third. Here's Waihoon. We mentioned about these guys just scoring points, Noons.
Yep, keeping the title fight alive. The Lubramax Ford next across the line from Nathan Assailant. Steve Briffa was next home. It's been a tough weekend for Sam Walter. They've had some problems with that ex-Tasman Motorsport Commodore. That car is for lease for the rest of the season, so if you want to get on board the series, not a bad rig to get into.
Dan Day, 7th. That would be a personal best result for the youngster coming into the series, just behind a quiet achiever in Steve Briffa. Policina was 8th. Walter cracked the top 10 in 9th, and Josh Keane completed it in 10th place.
Yeah, look, 2nd for the round's a good result after race 1, so dropped right to the back. Finished 11th in race 1, and then worked my way through the field to get 1st in that last race.
He might not have had the best round of his career, but the net result is Shay Davies has actually extended his series lead after 3 rounds. It went from 1 point to 8 going into round 4. Waihoon still sits 2nd. Evangelou, the big mover though, he's got within 20 points of the lead and now sits 3rd in the overall standings. Some happy, smiling faces on the podium for the Kumho V8s. It's been an action-packed round, and the racing and the intensity will continue at Queensland Raceway at round 6 of the Shannon's Nationals in August.